Hi, everyone. Welcome to So What Happens Live. I'm Wendy, and with me today is Meredith. So everyone say, hey, Meredith. So today we're going to talk about Applique Creator. It's a fun thing, but lately I have been working on it to make other things. Um, so instead of just doing applique onto fabrics or quilt blocks or things like that, I have been creating some cute little patches, because the teenagers, they like to fuse those on to their backpacks and other things like that. And if you go to different states and things like that, I go to a lot of states, and in their gift shops, you'll see like little patches for that particular state or that area. So they could be, kind of fun. I've also turned some of them into key fobs. Couldn't think of the name there. Key fobs. So let me show you what I did. Let me switch cameras here. So on this one here, so I already started stitching these out. This one is going to be turned into a key fob. So I have an example here. So that's what that is. This one here, it's hard to see it. I know. Let me slide this down. Just a happy little face. So that's just this one I did just as a regular. This will be a fusible one. I just can't think of the words today. This one is going to be a iron-on patch. So when I take this one off the hoop, I'm going to put a fusible web behind it so that it can then be sewn onto something. And then my lips here, I used black around it because I found a thread that matches it too well, and it just didn't have definition. But if you look right here, it's hard to see it, but I have a little eyelet there. So I'm going to use my eyelet punch. I have an eyelet punch. So here's my eyelet punch, and this little kit comes with this self-healing little mat, and I'll just take a mallet and just go right through that eyelet. So let me go ahead and show you quickly. And the eyelet, that is so that I can string something to it. And I think I'm going to put this on the handle of my suitcase. So, again, I travel a lot. So let's move over here to the screen. And I'm going to quickly show you how I did this. So the first one for, I keep wanting to say lanyard, but for the key fob. So for the key fob, I'm going to come down here and go Applique Creator. And I have my shapes up here. I'm going to load a shape. I'm not going to use the dingbats right now. I'm going to go straight to the basic, and I want the square. And I'm going to choose a good, just a regular satin. And the reason why I want to choose just a regular satin is because I want to make sure that these edges are nicely finished, because for the most part, they're going to be freestanding. So if I choose some of the other options there, they're not going to be as clean, and it's not going to work out as well for freestanding. So we are going to choose that one. I'll close that window. Down here, I have Edit Applique. And here I have my scale. So I'm going to touch scale. And I know what size I want it to be. My key fob hardware is 1 inch. So I want the width of it. Oops. Before I do that, I'm going to turn off my lock there so that I could change it unproportionally. And I'm going to change that to 1. In my settings, I went into my settings and changed it to inches for today. Normally I leave it on millimeters, but I didn't feel like, keep asking Alexa the difference between them. So we're just going to go, I just changed them. So anytime that you need to, you could go into your settings up here, and you can change it from millimeters to inches, and you could do it while you're in the middle of something as well. So then I'm also going to change this, and I know I wanted it about 8 inches. And there it is. Okay. So for the one that I did here in my hoop, I did a decorative stitch. Now you can also do, you could do a saying, you could put a name on it. You can add, the FOF icon has a lot of mini designs built into the machine, so you can put little mini designs on it. But I just chose to do a nice decorative stitch, and let me show you how I did that. So once I'm okay with this is what I want. So I'm going to say okay. And I'm going to deselect it because now I'm going to go into Shape Creator. And I'm going to, my door is slowly opening. I think I have a cat coming in. So I'm going to go into my shape and basic shape, and I'm going to choose a straight line. And I'm going to close that window. Oops, close that window. And down in edit shape, I'm going to choose to rotate it. So once I touch rotate, I can touch here 90 degrees, and there it rotates at 90 degrees for me. I am going to make it a little bit longer. I don't necessarily want it to go from edge to edge. I do want to have a little space so that when I fold it in half, I have room for the hardware. So I'm okay with that. Now I'm going to bring in my stitches. So any of the stitches that we have built into the machine, we can bring those in. And I will go to my decorative. And I think it was hearts that I went to. Was it decorative? Now I don't remember which one I did. Oh, I know it was miscellaneous. And there they are. So I'm going to choose this one. I know one of them came in because there's a number 1 right there. So I'm just going to close this window so I can see what's happening here. And I'm going to bring in 2. And then 3. And let's bring in 1 more. So to me, that looks good. I'm okay with that. And then I could say, okay. And there is my design. So then I could go into my layers and I can select all and I can group them. And then that way, now I can move it on the screen together instead of two separate units. So we're okay with that one. Let's go ahead and let's do the smiley face because I had fun with that one. So I'm going to go back into Applique Creator. And I'm going to choose shape. And that one I just chose a circle. And we'll close that. And I'm just playing. So we'll just make it a size. So for the face, and I'm okay with that. Someone touch okay. So for this face, it was actually some stitches that I brought in. So if I go into my stitches, and for the mouth, it's a satin stitch. And I could have played with a bunch of these. This one's actually kind of cute. Let's do something a little different. Ooh, let's do that one. Let's have fun with the mouth. Okay. So let's go ahead and move that. And it changed the size of my hoop. Yep, it changed it, and that's okay. We'll just go back in and choose the hoop I am working with, which is the 260 by 200. And then there you go. So there you have it, and then I can rotate it. Okay. So there's his mouth. And then for the eyes, I also used the satin element. So back into load stitch. And it was this one, but you know what? Let's do something different. Let's choose that one. And now I can bring those in. And if I go down to edit design, I can duplicate it. And now he looks totally different than the one I had previously. And if you were doing this at home, or if I was doing this for good, I would be fussing with them. We'll be resizing it. But today I'm not going to. You get the gist of this. All right. So we're happy with that. And then my last one that I have here in the hoop, I'm just going to go back into Applique Creator and load my shape. This time I am going to use my dingbats, and there's our lips. I'm going to close this, resize it a little bit. Oops. And I'm good with that. And I didn't make any changes to it. So I'm going to have a nice shaped patch here. And then I want to put an eyelet in there. So back into my stitches I go. I know it's in utility. And it's in my buttonholes. No, it's not. It's in my eyelets. So bring that in. And then I'm just going to put it right there in the corner so that I can punch a hole in it. And that's where I will put my chain so that I can hang it onto something. All right. So there you have it. So let me go back to this before I move out. I'm going to go to stitch out. Say okay. And let's attach our hoop. So I want to show you this, what I did here. So when you have these appliques, it automatically gives you the placement stitch, then it gives you the tacking stitch, and then it gives you the full-on satin stitch. So that is one entity. You can't necessarily split those apart, but on the machine you can skip certain sections. So on the one that I'm making the key fob out of, so I stitched it, I did my placement stitch, and then what I did was when it came to the tacking down, I only placed the fabric on the top first so that I can stitch out the decorative stitches. Because on the back, it's clean. Okay? So since it's here on 2, I just laid this, and this is embroidery glitter. It's a vinyl, it's a heat transfer vinyl that is glitter on it. So try different materials. And then also I have a piece of Decker bond behind that as well, just to give it some stiffness. So instead of doing tacking it down and doing the applique here, I went ahead and went down. I came down here so that I can stitch the decorative stitches. So I can stitch the decorative stitches before I put the back on. So once these stitches stitched out, then I was able to jump back to 2. Now it's going to tack everything down. It'll tack this, and I will place my other embroidery glitter on the back. And then I will continue with the finishing portion of the satin stitch. So I hope that makes sense. For the smiley face, I just treat it like an applique. I didn't skip any steps. I just let it go through the motions, because what it's going to do, it's going to do the placement stitch for the fabric. Then it's going to do the tacking stitch for the fabric, and then it's going to do the satin, and the last thing it did was the mouth and the eyes. So again, I fused Decker bond to the back of this fabric here, so I can just use a regular quilter's cotton that I had on hand, opposed to trying to find tackle twill and things like that. When you're doing a freestanding patch like this, you do want it to have some kind of body, some kind of support. So I found Decker bond was great, and I had tons of Decker bond left over from other projects that I was working on. So yay me. So it worked out. So, but this one, you'll notice that I did not stop it. It's just plain on the back, because I am planning on cutting a circle and putting some fusible web here so that it can be a fusible patch. Then for this last one, I did it basically the same way I did this one, but instead of using this glitter vinyl on the back, I did just use some regular fabric. It's just a different fabric, but because it's freestanding, it will look nice on both sides. So you have all kinds of choices that you want to do with these. You can, put the eyelid in there so that you have a hole that you can punch out. You can add phrases. You can, we have fonts built into the machine, so you can add names to it. There's so many things that you can use these for. If you have a quilt retreat that you're going to anytime soon, you can make some fun patches for that and pass it out to your friends. It's just a different way to use Applique Creator than your standard way of doing things. So, Meredith, do we have any questions?
So when you're doing this, do you want your bobbin to be the same as the top?
Good question. So I will tell you that I do have a water-soluble stabilizer in here so that it is freestanding, so I can just cut away from the stabilizer and good to go. Now, the ones that I did that are truly freestanding, the one that I'm doing for the key fob and the lips that I did, yes, I did wind a bobbin for those, and I didn't wind a whole bobbin. I just kind of guesstimated like how much thread am I going to need to do that. So for those, I did wind a bobbin. For the smiley face, because this is going to be a fusible applique that's going to go onto something, no, I just used my normal white bobbin, my 60 weight bobbin. Great question.
Okay, sounds good. That looks like it's about it.
Anything else?
No, nothing else so far. But if they
Nothing.
do have questions, feel free to put them in the chat and we'll get back to them.
All right. So again, thank you guys for hanging out with me with So What Happens Live, and I'll see you again later. If you want to see what I did in my Sonnet, I'll be there doing one for my Sonnet. So talk to you soon. Bye.